Hi everyone, welcome back to the Beginner's Guide to Crypto. Today we have episode 5, which is about storing your funds. First we're going to look at exchanges. Exchanges are a fiat to crypto gateway, which basically means you can deposit fiat and buy crypto with it, or you can sell your crypto and then withdraw fiat to your bank account. And you can also deposit all types of cryptos and buy other cryptos with it. Some examples are Coinbase, Kraken, Binance. So which one should we choose? Well, first of all, you have to see if the exchange you're looking at actually supports your country. For example, US customers are banned on some platforms, and same goes for some other countries. So you have to look into that yourself. And then also, do they actually have the crypto that you're looking for? So especially if you are looking for some smaller market cap crypto, it's probably not going to be on Coinbase or on Kraken. It's probably going to be on Binance. But if you're looking for some really exotic things, then you may actually have to look at some decentralized exchanges. For example, Uniswap. All the really low cap things that are built on top of Ethereum are actually on Uniswap rather than on actual exchanges like Binance. So you have to look at, for example, CoinMarketCap, and you can see a list of exchanges that a certain crypto is placed on. And also pretty much how bigger the exchange is, the safer it is. Exchanges are never completely safe. You can always get hacked, and the exchange can go bankrupt, and all those things can happen. But pretty much the bigger the exchange is, the lower the chance of this happening. So a warning: exchanges can scam you. They can get hacked. They can go out of business. They can get shut down by governments. There's a lot of things that can happen to exchanges. So be aware of that and only use them to actually buy crypto with fiat or actually trade cryptos between each other. And don't actually store your wealth there. So whenever you actually deposit some euros on, for example, Binance, and you buy some Bitcoin with it, and you just want to buy it for a couple of years, then just send it to one of the wallets that we're going to go to in the next slide. So don't actually store it on exchanges unless it's like a really small amount that you don't care about that much. It's definitely not the safest way to go. Software wallets, what are they? Well, software programs that can access the blockchain. Every crypto tends to have its own or multiple software wallets. It doesn't go for stuff like ERC20 tokens, which are tokens that are built on top of Ethereum. Those are all accessible with Ethereum wallets, and because they don't actually have their own blockchain. So this is something to look into as well. But for the most part, for the bigger cryptos out there that actually have their own blockchain, they tend to have their own software wallet as well. Some of the advantages: it's free and instant to use. Sometimes you can have staking with it, and this staking generally is not possible on exchanges or on hardware wallets, which we will look at next. And especially if you have a cryptocurrency that has very interesting staking rates, then it might be a lot better to actually use software wallets. I personally use hardware wallets for most of my cryptos, unless you have interesting staking. So for example, my T-Fuel, I actually stake that in a software wallet, in the Tether wallet. So, you have to look into that yourself as well. And they are pretty much secure. They are as secure as can be, but you do need to know how to use them. So some of the disadvantages are that it's not always that easy to use a software wallet, and every crypto tends to have its own. So if you have a portfolio with 10 cryptos, then you're going to have 10 software wallets, which are 10 pieces of software on your computer, which already is not the greatest. And then also you have to have 10 separate backup keys to all of these wallets. So it gets a bit much, especially if you just want to invest a bit and then hold it for 5 years and you don't want to look at it too often, then it might be better to go for a hardware wallet, which we will look at next. And also full nodes use a lot of data, which means that if you download a full node, then you actually have to download the whole blockchain. And especially for the longer living cryptos, this can be really a lot of data, and this first of all costs, depending where you live and how much you pay for internet and stuff like that, it can be expensive, but also unless you have a very big computer with a lot of empty space, it might be too much for that as well, especially if you start downloading, like I said before, if you have like a portfolio of 10 cryptos and you have a software wallet for all 10 of them, then it might be a bit too much space to actually put onto your computer. So hardware wallets, they are pieces of hardware that actually lets you access multiple blockchains. Most well-known are the Trezor and the Ledger. And yeah, I personally use the Trezor, but I don't have too much argumentation for it. So I think both of them are fine. I think you can actually put a bit more, a few more cryptos on the Ledger, and yeah, and they both have their touchscreen one and their normal one with just some keys, and yeah, they both have an inexpensive one and an expensive one, I would say, and I personally don't see too much difference in between them, and especially if you store more value on in cryptos, then it might be best to just buy both and put a bit on each of them. Advantages, well, you can store multiple cryptos on one device, so you don't need to have 10 backup keys, you just have one backup key for the hardware wallet. It's fairly easy to use, and it's also secure. Fairly easy to use as in it tends to be more easy to use than software wallets. You don't have to download a lot of stuff, and you can just, plug and play basically. There's no issue if your PC crashes. If you have 10 separate software wallets and your PC crashes or whatever, then it might be quite of a hassle to actually regain access to all of these funds. And with a hardware wallet, you don't have that problem. It doesn't matter where you are. You can just plug and play with this small piece of hardware. So, and like I said before, you don't have to download that much. So you definitely don't have to download the whole blockchain. And this saves you a lot of internet uses and also a lot of space on your PC. Some of the disadvantages, however, they cost money. Like I said in the previous slide, all of these software wallets that get offered by the crypto itself are for free. So, you have to pay a little bit of money. But if you are, let's say, investing more than 1,000 or 2,000 euros, it's probably going to be worth it. If you only invest like 200 euros, then probably you're better off using a software wallet or even keeping it on an exchange. I mean, if it's not too much money for you personally, then an exchange might be the easiest way to go. But, if you are investing some more serious money, then a hardware wallet is my personal favorite. And also you have some delivery time, so you can't instantly use it. So, I mean, if you just invest and want to hold it for a couple of years, this shouldn't really be much of an issue. So private keys and backups. Private keys are a unique string of letters or numbers or words It can be pretty much in any format, depending on the cryptocurrency you use. For the hardware wallets, you get a, I believe, 24-word backup, and then for, every crypto has its own format for this. It's actually more important than the wallet itself, because wallets, both your hardware wallet and your software wallets, tend to be password protected. And however, if you actually get access to someone's backup seed, then you instantly gain access to all of the funds if you know how to access it. So if you buy a new Trezor, for example, and you have someone's backup key for his own Trezor, you can actually put this into your new Trezor and you actually gain access to all the funds. So these backups are a lot more important than the wallet itself. So even if your laptop gets stolen or whatever and you have a software wallet on it, generally speaking, you have some password protection going on there. So it's not the end of the world. But if your backup seed actually gets stolen, it's a much bigger problem. So you should never type in your private key or backup into a computer, because your computer might be hacked or gets hacked later on, and some hacker could gain access to this private seed. And it doesn't matter where he is. Even if you live on the other side of the world, if you have access to someone's backup seed, you can just put it in to a software or hardware wallet and you gain access to this amount of money. So definitely don't do that. So you should write it down by hand and in a safe place. So you shouldn't do it in a library, for example. I mean, probably nowadays not enough people know about crypto. That's going to be an issue, but still, you tend to want to be alone when you do it, and you just write it down and store it in a safe place. And you could split up your backup seed, so you could write it down on 2 or 3 pieces of paper and then split it up. And it's also possible to do multiple backups, because one of the biggest issues with backups is that you actually lose it yourself. And if your for example, your Trezor hardware gets broken, then you can still access your funds with your backup seed. However, if you don't have this backup seed, then you can't access your funds anymore. So you should definitely keep it safe and maybe have multiple of them. However, if you do this, it also gives you more exposure. So probably the best way to go is to split it up in 2 or 3 parts and then have multiple of them. So you would actually have about 6 parts, and you split them up in safe places that you know. So maybe with some people that you know, maybe some family or people that you really trust. And it's hard to actually pick a really safe place for these backups, because I mean, in the end, who can you trust completely? It's hard to say. And yeah, even if you trust them, they can, people can break into their house and whatever. So it's probably a good thing to not keep a complete backup seed at someone's place, even your own place, because right now it's not that much of an issue, because I believe that not enough people actually use crypto. So someone that actually breaks into your house probably right now doesn't understand what this backup seed is, and let alone be able to actually convert this into accessing your funds. However, in 5 to 10 years time, probably Bitcoin and crypto in general is going to be that mainstream that if someone were to break into your house, this is going to be a lot more of an issue. So yeah, you have to think for yourself what the best way to store it is. It's also not too smart to put in a online video where you should store your private keys and your backups, because if someone who breaks in actually sees these types of videos, then he knows how people actually store their stuff. So everyone pretty much has to think for themselves with this one. So conclusion, exchanges are very good for trading and for actually getting into crypto in the first place, like putting some fiat money on an exchange and buying Bitcoin. However, they're not so good for actually storing, because they might go bankrupt or whatever. All types of things can happen to exchanges, and you don't want to have your funds on there. Software wallets are free, but tend to be for the more advanced users. Hardware wallets cost a little bit of money, but tend to be worth it. I would say for most non-advanced users who still have like more than 1,000 euros or whatever in cryptos, I would advise all of them to actually use a hardware wallet, and never lose or give away your private key. Store them in a safe place, and everyone has to think for themselves what this safe place might be. Thank you all for watching, and see you in the next one.